Hey, what's up, world? Welcome back to another edition of the Cigars and Bullshit podcast. Yours truly, DJ Bentley. I'm joined with Steve and Frankie, where we're going to talk about another interesting topic this week. It's about cigars and it's about the bullshit. Let's get into it.
I think I was working on assisted living. So taking social security checks.
So the whole thing is like you are used to and comfortable with your relationship to the level where you work with her, you come, you live with her.
Yeah, right.
Quarantine is like, well, stay home. Nothing really changed in
that
dynamic.
My wife anyway, right?
And that's the same thing with me. Like I met my wife on the job. We worked together. We lived together. We were rarely apart.
Yeah.
So COVID was just like, okay, stay home, and it's like, all right, what? The only thing that changed was the difference in she would leave out earlier, and then I would leave a little later. So she would leave work earlier, but then again, we're talking hours apart, and then coming home and spending time together. Right. So it was no big difference, you know. We were just together all the time, you know. And to your point of like a lot of divorces, because I don't think people.
Or they never had that situation that they tested and survived already.
Right. I think a lot more relationships were built on, I have my me time, right? And then we get together, we're married, but then we only spend 4 or 5 hours together, and then I get my me time. You go to your job, I go to my job. You know.
Let's give a comparison. You have an average person who has an 8-hour day or 9-hour day if you include a lunch break or something like that. So you have an 8-9 hour day where you're not, if you don't work with your spouse, that you're not with them.
Right.
And then there's a commute before and after.
Yep.
So that could be 15 minutes, it could be an hour and a half going into the city. So you have pretty much a 10-hour day where you're not with each other. Mm-hmm. Maybe even more, 12 hours sometimes. So you take those two people and stick them in a house together and say you can't go anywhere.
And reverse it. Yeah.
And now they're at each other's throats. They didn't realize they don't get along as well as
they do. I don't really like this person.
Whereas for our situations, and I think you're the same with me too, where you work with your wife, but you don't work with your wife.
Right. I mean,
but they're in the same building.
At one point, we were in the same department. She literally was 20 feet away from me. And the way we kept our relationship.
Well, that's how you met, right?
That's how we met. And then when we started dating, got engaged, got married on the job while we were still working there, she was still working 20 feet away from me. Her desk was over there and I was here. But we made it to where we didn't interact in a couple way. We were professional. Yeah, we were very professional. Like, if we did lunch, we had lunch. So you want to go to lunch? Yeah, let's go to lunch. We left the building, and then maybe in a restaurant, we'd be a little bit more intimate. You know what I mean? Like, where you could say, oh, they got to be a couple. But when it came back and we went in the building, it's like, no, you're working there, I'm working here, you know,
I respect
doing what I got to do, you know. And I think we one, because of the whole, we had an impression at the time that, you know, you shouldn't do, you know, date your coworker. This is going to be a problem. We didn't want that. We both wanted our jobs. So we kind of, and I think that just kind of just set the tone for us at work. And so we kept that. But it really was just us interacting in that environment. Because once we left the building, it was like, you know, no big deal. Yeah. So we were always together.
I think there's the old saying of you don't shit when you eat. I think that applies more to, excuse the French, but they're just fucking around with girls. I think when you were younger, your 20s or something, if you're just looking to get laid, you don't want to do that at your job.
Well, the thing is, that relationship...
You break a girl's heart.
Well, see, that relationship...
And that's going to come back to burn you.
You know that relationship isn't going anywhere. And so it's probably going to be, at some point, you don't know when, a volatile moment, right? Because... it's not going anywhere. So you know at some point you're going to say, look, I don't want to talk to you anymore. And then that's where, you know, the relationship goes down here. Yeah, the awkwardness happens and maybe she does something or you do something that she doesn't like. And then it's like, oh, F you. And then, you know, there's work that's there.
Right. I think for us, we got involved at a later age. It was my second marriage. And, you know, you meet someone later in age and you're already matured with certain things, how you handle things. You're very private, personal. We weren't like discussing our business around the building. People didn't even know we were talking or dating for months. Months.
We thought that too, but everybody knew.
Oh, they did?
They were like, you're not fooling anybody. You're not fooling anybody. You guys.
Well, we did a good job.
Our supervisor at the time was like, what she? I can't remember exactly how she did it, but it was like we were in the room or whatever together. We were having like before a meeting or after a meeting, and so she was like, so, you guys gonna have, like, let's say it was like the Friday. It's like, you guys have a good weekend? Like, yeah, I'm gonna have a good weekend. So, you're not going over to her house?
No.
And I was like, what do you mean? it was kind of like that thing, like, huh? What? Oh, what are you talking about?
What are you talking about?
No, I'm going home. Have a good weekend.
Sure.
And I ran out of the room and like, oh shit! I was like, we got outside.
They
knew. It was like they knew. But
that's funny, man.
Again, we kept it where it was very professional, so it was like, it wasn't a big deal.
Where'd you meet Joanna?
Joanna was a family friend. My dad knew her dad for 20-something years. At the time we kind of knew each other a little. I heard a little bit as a kid, but I don't really remember too much. But I was dating a girl at the time for I think it was 4 years. We were together for 4 years. Pretty much my whole high school career I was with this girl, and then we broke up because we were going to college. Just didn't work out, and then I knew who she was. I felt like it came up on Facebook. Oh, people you would know.
Right.
I'm like, I know this girl because I've seen her before. She was coming over to my house because her dad and my dad were very close, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's Joanna. That's the girl who used to come over to my house. So all of a sudden, we hit her up on Facebook. Hey, how are you? I feel like I saw you before. She explained who she was. I'm like, holy crap. Okay, perfect. So I let time maybe 2 days, 3 days fly by. I hit her up again. I'm like, hey, let's do something. Let's go hang out.
So that was your intention then. You were interested in her.
I was definitely interested because I knew the family she came from.
Okay.
So I already knew I wasn't looking for a wife at the time, but I knew she was that material.
Right.
Good people.
Yeah, she came from a good family like mine, and she was Italian, so it kind of it just blended together. I was like, you know what, we're so simple. She had 2 brothers. I had 2 brothers. Her family owned the business. My family owned the business. So I was like, all right, you know what? All right, I'll give it a shot. Whatever. If it works out, it works out.
Cool.
So
she's great.
Yeah, we ended up going out to dinner, and then it was happy ever after that. I mean, it's
cool.
But it was. I just knew right off the bat it was gonna be successful. I just knew.
That's
you
cool.
just had. I feel like you had those vibes once you find that person. A little bit. I guess.
I think. Again, similar to Steve, we'd had conversations before about So I had been married before. Marriage failed, and I was dating, but I wasn't wasn't. I wasn't happy.
Wasn't looking.
It wasn't good.
Looking for a wife.
Yeah, no,
right.
I know
It wasn't that.
I know. Yeah.
And then when I met her, actually another supervisor, a different supervisor at the time. She was like, because I'd been at the job already for some time. So she comes in and she goes, Have you met Tara? And I'm like, no. It's like, I think you should meet Tara.
Somebody knew.
I'm like, what? I'm like, who is this Tara person? So I'm like, oh, okay, now I know I should meet Tara, But in that, getting to know her, then I was like, yeah, like you said, the feelings are like, okay.
I don't know, it just clicks, I guess.
This works.
I don't know,
She's somebody that I would,
you just weave definitely
out of be serious
about. Coming together,
Yeah. But, and it just worked, as you said.
It's just shit happens sometimes, man. I'm fortunate. Knock wood, I'm fortunate. I'm happy.
We all are. I
mean,
mean, to be in this position, part of our life. I'm not. I'm very still young, but I think what you guys accomplished and what I accomplished at a young age, I think it kind of that's what brings us together a little bit because you're at that part of your age. I'm not saying you're an old man, but I'm saying
yes, you are.
I am.
Yes, you are. Just nice.
But I'm saying I'm 31, but I'm an old man at heart. I'm the type of person I just like.
You're an old Italian man.
I just don't have the hat. I need that old man mulatto hat.
You're smoking cigars.
With some guys that can give me some wisdom at least in a way. But I'm an old soul, and I honestly I love it. I absolutely love it because cigars brought me to you guys, and I think that's awesome.
Well, all right. So let's go funny story to how I met Frank.
Oh,
Bentley is easy. Bentley's my next door neighbor, so we kept seeing each other, and we just start talking and become friends.
But a real quick thing, right? So it snowed, and at the time, I think it was like a storm. It was a pretty heavy storm, I think. And so I don't know. It was inches, right? And so I don't have like a large property in the front of my house, but big enough that a shovel is like, it's work. So I go out, I shovel, and then I got the electric blower. Steve, he's across the street. I'm out there. I think he sees me struggling, right? And he comes out and he just goes, "You want me to do it?" Because he has like a really nice.
Steve has all the toys.
Right? He got all the toys.
Got
right?
all the toys.
All the toys.
We have a pretty big snowball.
So he comes out with this snowball and he's like, "Let me help you out."
Done.
He does it in like 10 minutes, and I'm like, "Holy crap!" I'm like, "Thanks, guys." Like, thanks. And I think from like there, besides like us just saying hello to each other,
I was like, "Where's my $20?"
It was like that
What's
kind
the
of
easiest $20 turn it around.
It was yeah. So it was just that kind of gesture that
I like
kind
that,
of connected us.
That neighborly gesture.
Yeah, and then from there it was just
A lot of people kind of stick to themselves and mind their business these days, and I understand it because I'm not in everybody's business. But it's good to be friends with a neighbor or two because
it helps.
You might need a
You
tool,
never
you
know
might need
what
a hand, you
happens,
might need
yeah.
someone to look out for you, and it's we're similar in age, we have some common interests.
we have so many things in common. It's funny. It's
we,
really funny.
We do go
Again,
over some
like
of the things that we
the
way of
wives,
my wife. He was a DJ. He's a DJ. I used to be a DJ.
That is, yeah.
the
Now
name
that
of
I
our
think about
company.
it,
The name of our company.
Oh, even
the
a company.
Yeah, I think I remember you guys mentioned that. I think we were by the fire.
My
so
whole
crazy.
business involved one of the main
That's
words
so
of this
funny.
company. Is
And then he say I used to work for the state. He works in a similar capacity. I used to work in almost in the same kind of.
I never realized that until you mentioned it now.
It's like
oh
so
my
many
God.
similarities. We're just talking
wonder
about.
I
why
have a
You're
huge
also-
black penis.
Oh, put the lights down. That's something we all
Cut that one
Yeah.
out. We're gonna have to cut that one out. I don't know. Some people may be a little sensitive content for them.
You know, and I'll probably just beat the word. I'll use black.
It's science. It's a science term.
It was like, what?
It's a medical condition.
Yeah. Some people have that condition.
Yeah. So that's
awesome.
so that's how we
So-
met. But then
so
to
obviously-
go to not to.
But wait. For the record, for our viewers, obviously Bentley's black. You just said you're Italian. I'm by what I understand. I'm Puerto Rican. I have been quoted as the whitest Puerto Rican. I don't know.
I mean, yeah.
So, whatever.
Not a
What
lick of Spanish.
what I
Not a
like
lick of Spanish.
about our group of
Nothing.
guys, and for whatever viewers we have or may have, is that we have. It's not just the three of us. We have about, I don't know, somewhere around 15 friends now that we enjoy hanging out with and all enjoying cigars. Our friends are so diverse. Our group of friends,
Right.
from Jewish to what is like.
Jamaican.
Jamaican, Trinidad,
African American, Trinidad, Italian, Puerto Rican, Dominican.
I'm trying to think what else we have.
There's everything.
Z.
It's everything. Z is, I think he's like Syrian.
Yeah,
Israeli or
we
something.
all
I forget.
we love it though. Like we're all together. We're all talking. It's just,
We all have these different nationalities, but a common interest.
Mm-hmm.
And it's what brings us all together. And we bust each other's balls, and we have, all these different traditions, and But I love the diversity in our group.
I love
We have
it.
a really great, diverse group, and we bust each other's
We're all
balls
outgoing.
equally.
Oh yeah.
But then, I mean, not to get off of the whole, because we kind of explained how we met. But then, Frankie, you were saying how did you?
That's a funny
so
story, too.
so essentially, on a side note, we have we're all into riding. Some of us are into
We
riding.
have our toys.
So I happened to go to a cigar shop and see Frank's vehicle outside, and I'm talking to the owner of the shop who I'd become friendly with at the time, And we step outside. We're checking out his vehicle, and he comes out, and we just started talking. And I have something similar, so we wind up exchanging information. And I invited him to come riding with us, and we went riding. Became friends that way, and then the cigars thing was an obvious interest.
I think I literally took out a cigar. So I was about to smoke. And you're like, "Oh, you're into cigars?" He's like, "Oh, you're into." Actually, well, that was before we met at the shop.
But we met at
but
the
then
shop.
I
so
think you
I
realized
that that was in the back of my head, but I forgot it because we were talking about the vehicles.
Exactly.
But so we had that right out the gate, the vehicles, and then the cigars, and it flowed from there. And cool.
I just moved
cool
to the
stuff.
neighborhood. I was checking
that's
out what was
right.
around me.
That's right. He had said he moved in about 2 weeks before.
Yeah.
And he happened to be going to that cigar shop or whatever, picking up something. And if I would have missed you, we probably would have never met.
Well, that in that, what you're talking about is really, I think, a fundamental kind of law of life of how everything kind of works, right? It's all about timing. It's all about timing. I mean, it's so crazy how that works and it connects.
No, 100%. I agree. Also, it's like what Steve said. We all have a common interest. So I was going to the cigar lounge because I like cigars. He went to the cigar lounge because he liked cigars, and we that was one. And then all of a sudden he went outside. He's like, "Oh, hey, I have something like this too." That brought us together even closer. And then what? We've been together ever since, right?
Yeah. It sounds a little awkward.
Yeah, that time.
So let's
you
get
could have
back
went
to
on a
smoking.
different
Let's
day.
get back to smoking.
Yeah.
I'm down to look. You see how I'm like?
I'm right next to you. I'm right there.
I got plenty to go. I tell you, I smoke slow and talk a lot.
Yeah, this is a consistent stick though. Nice.
Mine's still together. I had to light it up a couple times, but it's my own fault.
It goes from that whole cocoa mint to a little bit more intense mint, and now I taste a little bit more pepper.
Oh, so
but it's not heavy pepper because I don't like that.
That's probably very light pepper.
But it's very
If
light,
there is
very light, more of a minty. I don't taste the cocoa.
Frank, is that like you feel that's like a little bit full, medium, what?
It's a little bit above medium. I feel like it's a little bitter. It's a darker leaf, so that's why I kind of picked it out. No, but it's nice. It's burning really nicely. It's my fault that it's going out because I'm letting it sit too long. That's why you see me like here and there. Like I'll take a puff. And I'm not even smoking. Just puff. I'm just
keeping it lit.
Keeping it lit. But this is a nice cigar, I have to say.
Side note, I've been looking into, because of this habit, everywhere I go, or like a trip or vacation or a road trip or go see family, I'm like, where's the nearest cigar shop? I'm on my phone. And I'm always making stops to find out.
We gotta get to Cigars International.
In PA?
Yes.
Yeah, we gotta...
It's gonna be a nice full day trip. I do like your idea because then we don't have to
worry about it.
Drive. We just go, enjoy the company, even on the way there, on the way back, and then while you're there, you get because that place has like the lounge, the cafe, and then of course the giant humidor.
Million cigars.
Where you're gonna wind up spending thousands of dollars.
There's okay, so for our audience purposes, I had made a trip down to North Carolina to see family. On the way back, sharing the driving with the wife, we were due for gas, for food, a bathroom break, and we were in an area where I was a passenger at that point, quickly Google cigar shop.
You're looking for your cigar shop.
Always looking.
In the area.
And about 3 exits away, there was one of these humongous Cigar International lounges, I guess they would call it. Like, not like a warehouse where they do all the shipping from, but they have these huge lounge, like you just talked about, with like food and drink and a million cigars. You can even buy humidors there, and the tower ones and all that stuff. And they have an upstairs, an inside, and outside, So we pulled off the highway, went to visit it, and as we were approaching New York, we kind of figured it'd be good to take a extensive break, stretch your legs, wake up, eat, go to the bathroom, go to Cigars International, spend an hour there or whatever, and give ourselves like a 2-hour break in all, because then approaching the city, as anybody in the tri-state area knows, it's a nightmare going through New York just to get to Long Island. So we did exactly that. We went and we took that break, and I had a great time there. So I came back and I was right away on the horn with you guys, like, yo, we got to go here one day. And Frank had a great idea with maybe we could get like a limo or
like
a
little
bus or something.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be a limo.
Pile a couple guys in there and we'll go take a day trip, because it's going to be a 2 or 3 hour ride each way, maybe longer with traffic depending on the way we come back, later in the day, but maybe less in the morning, more on the way back. But I think you're right. It might be a cool idea. It'll cost a few bucks more, but it'll be worth it.
I think it'll be
so we got to definitely set that up and get a few guys to commit. And I think if we go with even just 6 of us, it'll be a nice time.
It's not even like
I'll go if there's 4 of us. I'll go if there's 3 of us. I'll drive in the car. I don't care
either way.
But if we want it with 10 guys, it'll be a rip. It'll be a good time.
Thank you, everyone, for tuning in to the Cigar and Bullshit podcast. I hope you enjoyed that as much as I did. Just hanging out with my friends, sharing experiences that help you take away something interesting and maybe some information that you didn't know. So make sure you tune into the next episode. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this podcast.